This Top 10 Fantasy Football Tight Ends edition of Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBET. Bet $50 at WynnBET and get $200 in free bets. Bet big, win bigger with WynnBET. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. You already play fantasy on Sleeper, but now you can win cold hard cash with their over/under game. Just head to sleeper.com/SGP on your phone to join the SGPN group, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. That's sleeper.com/SGP, and make sure to download the SGPN app. Your home for all of our free picks and podcasts.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Woo! Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan. Real money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Sean, well, I'm not loud enough. Let me turn myself up a little bit.
Ryan decided to take apart the entire studio.
All right, we got some new equipment here, so doing that, and yeah, Sean, it's the season for giving, and what is that, Sean? Fantasy football rankings.
Fantasy football. Yeah. I mean, again, now that basketball is over, we can go full bore into getting ready for the National Football League. Breaking down. We're going to be giving you a ton of our favorite prop bets by player position, as well as our top 10 fantasy football lists. And then we got division previews, all sorts of, I mean, again, it's June.
Do we have to talk about any other sports?
We will be doing a bonus hockey episode today as well. Ryan Gilbert from the Hockey Gambling Podcast. # Let It Slide. The Lightning back in the series, Ryan. 2-1. Hell of a game.
I watched a little playoff hockey last night. It was a good time.
I'm all in on this Stanley Cup. Of course, Avalanche got out to a 2-0 lead on the series, and then Lightning came back. I'm sweating out a Lightning series bet. I should have waited till it got 2-0. I thought they were going to steal game 2, but we're not here to talk about hockey, Ryan. We're here to talk about America's true number 2 sport behind the NFL, and that is fantasy football. Oh man. And God bless the people over at the Wynn. They are running this awesome promotion, the WynnBET Fantasy Ultimate Fantasy Football Experience. For every $500 you bet on sports or casino before the end of July. And again, click that little banner there in your WynnBET app or over at wynnbet.com. You will be entered to win the ultimate fantasy football draft experience at Encore Beach Club, including 2-night stay at the Wynn Resort for you and your entire league. That's right, your entire league. Imagine Gary, Vance, the whole crew, you guys at the Wynn for 2 nights, having your live fantasy football draft. And hey, if you win this thing and you're an SGP listener, hit us up. Maybe we'll come out, hang out with you guys, announce your live fantasy football draft. And again, it's every $500 you bet. So I think on our live stream alone, Ryan, we would have qualified for like 5 entries. So much to choose from. Again, download that WynnBET app or visit wynnbet.com. Get started today. Offers subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. See 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gaming problem, go 1-800-522-4700.
Fire. I mean, the caffeine is a magical drug.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Caffeine's a hell of a drug. We're fired up. We're recording this live on a Tuesday morning. Double header for Tuesday. Took Sunday and Monday off. Regroup, recharge, and then coming at you with the double header. Hockey back to back later this afternoon, like I said, with Ryan Gilbert. And yeah, we're good to go.
Recharge, huh?
Recharge.
Feeling better?
No, I'm feeling more tired.
Oh wow. So it's one of those battery packs that needs to be replaced. It can't get all the way back up to 100%. Come on, dude. We only got. I told you this the other day via Slack, but we have live NFL football in like 6 months, 6 weeks.
Yes, right. You know, this is what we got to do. Everyone has their counter to NFL football, and they have it set for the start of the regular season, as if we won't be betting on week 1 preseason, as if we won't be hammering week 1 preseason unders. We should set up a football counter for the Hall of Fame game.
The true football counter.
The true football counter.
Some people might say, "Hey, there's spring football going on right now. Are you not counting that?" No, we're not counting.
Well, I am counting it because I think I went 3-1 again, closing the season out strong.
According to the tally site tout, I was ahead of you, 7-1 overall in my picks, week 10. Money line and spread.
I'll have to look at that. Well, you didn't mess with the totals because
I'm not a totals guy.
You're a coward, right?
I'm not a totals guy.
All right, let's get to it. We're gonna break down our top 10 fantasy football tight ends, full point PPR. Because
oh my God, I was doing half point PPR this whole time.
We live in the future. Now, here's the thing. I think I look at the list like Fantasy Pros, as like the top 10 list of
More like their list.
No, their list of their top 10 players from last year, total points.
Got it.
You got to find that balance when projecting these top 10 fantasy football tight ends of total points, but also you want a strong closer, like someone who's going to get you those points in the playoffs when it matters. So if it was close, I gave the edge to people who I thought could close with a strong end of season, and those guys who are just going to win you weeks. The guys who have maybe the guys you would consider a little bit more in best ball because they have those hashtag spike weeks, Ryan. So those are because I think there's sometimes we get some of these people in the top 10 of total fantasy points who, don't really belong there per se. You know what I mean? Like they never really won you a bunch of games.
I feel like you're looking at the list and speaking to someone.
No.
Specifically.
Well, for instance, let's say Gronk. Gronk was third in points per game at 14.3 last year, but he was only 7th in total overall points because he missed some games and stuff like that. So again, I'll reveal where I have Gronk, and he did make my top 10 list.
But Gronk's a good. It's funny because before we started, I realized I had left Gronk off my list, and in trying to put him on the list, I figured we'd talk about him, but he didn't end up making my list.
Wow.
But you nailed the reason why. I think he checks all the boxes, right? He's used around the red zone. He's used down the field. He's on the field all the time because he can block too. But is he not like getting to the age where you're like, is it time to not bet on Gronk? He's the same age as Kelsey, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, but he's
Kelsey. I
he's
guess
also Gronk also took a year off. He also seems to
has a quarterback that will throw him the ball in the red zone. Godwin's going to be out for a bit.
Well, and again, we're going to get to it, but like Kelsey's a very interesting use case because you lost Tyreek Hill, but also he's been declining in efficiency.
The age.
Where do you put him?
Yeah, I think with tight ends, it's age. You have to look at age. I think you have to look at usage in the offense, and I think you have to look at usage around the red zone. Because I think when it comes down to it, your tight end's not going to be useful if they're not scoring like Kyle Pitts, for example, Sean.
Yes,
Kyle Pitts finished a little bit down the board when we're looking average because he only finished with 10.4 PPR points. But you look at the fact that he only had 1 touchdown. What does that tell me?
Massive touchdown regression.
So yeah, we're really getting into the episode. But yeah, the point for me was I realized in doing my deep dive, AKA late night, usually between the hours of 12:30 Pacific and 3:30 Pacific, late night fantasy football research. It does seem like this sounds dumb, but it does seem like you want to target guys, much like running backs. If the offense is going to be in the red zone more, and they use the tight end in the red zone, you might want to consider that. Not as basic as you would think. All right,
let's get to it. Ryan.
Number 1 first, right?
Why do we have this conversation every year? Number 10. Give it up, Ryan. Who's your number 10 fantasy football tight end for 2022?
Because it's funnier to backhand a cowboy in the face. I'm sure you left him off.
I did. Dalton Schultz did not make my list.
Here's the thing, though, Sean. The Cowboys lost a lot of targets.
Yeah.
It's not going to go to Zeke. I can buy the Tony Pollard's going to see more targets angle, But with all the targets they lost and the style of offense they play, Dalton Schultz is on the field all the time because he blocks too. I think he was 7th in routes run per game. He's a massive check down option, which again, maybe a little worried that Pollard would be the guy. I think he's almost draftable as a Cowboy, considering.
That is a disgusting act.
No, I'm just kidding. He's going. His what's the rank? His average rank is higher than this. I think somewhere in the 6 to 8 range, depending on your format. And I think people are going to be high on the Cowboys. I put him at 10th to backhand him. He will be the check down guy. He will be a volume guy. I think he's your classic gatekeeper of the season long, because he's going to score every week for you. And if he stays healthy, you won't have to make too many decisions.
Ryan's already fantasizing about Cowboys touchdowns.
I don't think. No, I think the problem for me with Dalton. Well, again, who's going to catch who's going to get the targets in the red zone? I don't think they're going to be a great team, but I do think they're going to have to pass a little bit, because I do think the running game is going to be down. And I think if they're out there passing,
their offensive line is getting.
Dalton Schultz is going to have to catch some passes, so I think he could be a surprise guy just from a volume standpoint. Hate to talk about a Cowboy, but putting him 10th felt right.
Ryan, you know how in these fantasy football episode lists, I like to throw in some hot takes. Get your oven mitts on. It's
it's a tight end position, Sean.
It's a number, and certainly projecting someone as the number 10 fantasy football tight end shouldn't necessarily be a hot take. If you've been listening to the best ball episodes, I've slowly been building a case for this guy.
Okay.
He is a rookie. Can you guess who it is?
I already hate it. Rookies don't score fantasy points.
Oh, well,
unless they're Hall of Famers like Kyle Pitts.
Well, yeah, Kyle Pitts cracked the top 10 last year, and give me Trey McBride cracking the number 10 fantasy football tight end list. Here's the thing. Arizona, who was their first draft pick, Ryan?
Who was their first draft pick?
Yeah.
Should I know this off the top of my head?
Trey McBride.
There you go.
He was drafted in the 2nd round. A lot of people had a 1st round grade on him. They brought him in specifically to catch passes.
No.
I think there's a real chance he sees a lot of work, and Zach Ertz is getting older, some declining efficiency. Now, Zach Ertz could be interesting maybe for those first few weeks, but I think those last, week 12 through 17, Trey McBride is going to be seeing a bunch of targets, and I think he eventually takes over the role of Zach Ertz. That's the reason they drafted him that high. They didn't have a 1st round pick. The first person they drafted was a pass catching tight end, Trey McBride. That to me is a sign they want Trey McBride out there. They want him, they want him involved in the offense.
I like your attempt at a hot take. I just think it's so hard for rookies, especially with Zach Ertz is there. I mean, I think the angle. I mean, honestly, I was waiting for you to steal the nugget, but if you prorate Zach Ertz's production from the time he went to the Cardinals onward to a 17 game season, guess who's he's behind in fantasy tight ends? Only Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. So from a pure usage standpoint, your angle's right, but Zach Ertz is still there. They traded for Zach Ertz. Tight ends take a second to get it sorted out. And if you're betting on one guy to be lined up out in the slot and being used a little bit more creatively, I think it's going to be Zach Ertz, not Trey McBride.
No,
so
I think Trey McBride, you don't draft a tight end 2nd, or you don't use your highest pick on a player to not use him.
Okay. I would say that we discussed this last year and why Kyle Pitts might be a risky pick. Rookies don't produce. And you look at Kyle Pitts, he set a record last year. Now, will Trey McBride, is he a Kyle Pitts level talent that's going to see, and we'll get to this later, see all those snaps out wide in the slot? I wouldn't be willing to bet. I mean, my 9th guy is Zach Ertz. So we're on the same team. I'm taking the crafty veteran because I saw what he did with Kyler. And I know DeAndre Hopkins is now out. He's not appealing for some reason. He said he wasn't guilty, but he pulled back his appeal.
Well, Zach Ertz, I think is an interesting DFS
and I don't think Hollywood Brown's if anything, Hollywood Brown gives more room on the field for a tight end to perform. So maybe we'll both be right. Although I'll put my money on the old regular.
Yeah. I mean, if you want,
they're both draftable though. If you like them as top 10 guys, because
I think Trey McBride's pretty fun in best ball as well. Like you can take him. I feel like I've taken him as my 3rd tight end in those underdog best ball drafts. In round 17 or 18. all day. Next up, this is a tight end. It's been an honor and a privilege to watch this man's journey. Coming off a pretty solid rookie year, certainly I'm a little worried they're going to be throwing less in Pittsburgh, but I still think Pat Freiermuth coming off a rookie year, Ryan. I know you're not for
real interesting
having rookies in your top 10 fantasy football tight ends, but Pat Freiermuth did have 7 touchdowns, 60 catches, 497 yards, had a damn good season. I think that was one of my biggest prop bets last year was him over receiving yards, Eric Ebron under. Eric Ebron didn't see the field at all. He obviously had a much better path to targets than Trey McBride. Also, Zach Ertz has had a bunch of nagging quad and groin stuff, which can come.
Groin specialist Sean Green.
Pat Freiermuth, number 9. Are you you seem shocked that I have him this low?
What are you? How are you getting him to number 9?
What do you mean?
Where did you get this? Because I don't think he was a top. Here would be my angle as to why I think he maybe hit his ceiling last.
Total points last year, he was 13.
Yeah. So I would say I would be looking at a situation where is he going to see more volume in this offense year 2?
Yeah,
maybe relatively, but is the offense going to pass as much with Mitchell Trubisky as they did with Big Ben last year? Probably not. And so I guess coming back to that, when they're around the red zone, is
no Juju. I mean, that's the other reason.
Is Pat Freiermuth going to be there? Is he a top option? Najee Harris probably. Is he a secondary option? Mitchell Trubisky maybe.
No, and you mentioned it. How is he going to get more volume? One, they brought him along slow last year because he was a rookie. Only started 9 games, so he's going to start all 17 games. I think he's going to see. I think Pittsburgh's pass attempts are going to go down, but I think his target share will go up, especially with no Juju.
Okay.
Where did Juju play best his entire career? It's in the slot. And that actually could make a case either hurts him or Kelsey moving to Kansas City. Cause I think Juju is kind of the guy that competes with stuff over the middle. So who is their over the middle guy for this Steelers team? And there's a ton of easy throws you can draw up to the tight end. And I don't know if Deontay Johnson is going to get that crazy target volume. I think him and Big Ben had some sort of connection where he loved just hitting them with those quick things. Maybe they keep running that, but I think Freiermuth has more catches, more targets, and similar red zone usage.
I can't put Mitchell Trubisky receiver in the top 10, a tight end in the top 10. That's what's preventing me. But instead, I'm going to go back.
Kenny Pickett.
Well, instead I'm going to go back to a guy. I feel like every year I'm on him. This year I'm lower, I think, than market, and that's TJ Hawkinson. Maybe right on market. I do like what this offense could become. I'm definitely, as the best ball season is moving along, I'm enjoying what this could be in terms of the style of offense. They might be bad defense. They might be passing a lot. Jared Goff has shown in garbage time he can produce points. TJ Hawkinson in limited time last year, only 12 games, he did average 12.1. So if we're looking just on a per average basis, this is the number 6 tight end from last year, Sean. By the way, Dalton Schultz was number 5 on that list. He runs. He has a decent, he runs lots of routes, but he runs short routes. So very similar to Schultz. He could be another check down guy. I think what prevents me from putting him higher on the list, because I think the offense is going to produce some fantasy points this year, is just purely they drafted Jameson Williams. They brought in DJ Chark. I got to imagine you
have Jared Goff, so you have no problem putting a Jared Goff tight end in your top 10.
Jared Goff produced the top 6 tight end by average last year. So I think I think it's fair to say that we can draft TJ Hawkinson in the 6th round here and be okay with it, potentially as your first tight end, because when he's healthy, you're starting him, right? That's part of the discussion with tight end is you don't want to end up with 2 guys that you're juggling. So you want to make sure that when to your earlier point of points versus average, you want to make sure that you don't have a decision and you don't have to carry 2 tight ends. So I like Hawkinson as my 3rd guy. Now that being said, this is you said it before we started recording. This is kind of a lame-ish tight end year because there's very obvious tiers, and I think we're kind of in a tier where you could probably go all the way down to 14 or 15, and these guys are all like similar.
No,
you can make an argument.
Yeah, there's probably like 15 tight ends that are in a big pocket.
We're not going to talk about Higbee today. I don't think we're not going to talk about guys like Noah Fant, Gesicki.
Well, and Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki very well could end up in the top tight end. It kind of just depends on how you're projecting some of these offenses. What do you think they're going to be doing in the red zone?
As you'll see, I avoided offenses that don't project to be very good,
with the exception of Detroit.
I think Detroit falls in the category of, if their defense is what it was last year, they're going to put up. They might not be good, but they're going to put up points.
Yeah, there's a lot of love coming out of the fantasy community for the Lions, and I'm just still skeptical.
It's because they're going to be losing, and it's just general general economics in the NFL. Like, if you're bad and you're losing by a lot, it's easier to get those points.
Ryan, speaking of fantasy, you already probably play Sleeper on your season-long fantasy, but now Sleeper with the sweet over/under feature. Open up your Sleeper fantasy app, just click the over/under tab, and use. Go to sleeper.com/SGP. Use that promo code SGP. First deposit up to $100. They match you 100% deposit match. And again, sweet for these player props over under. Baseball is coming back soon. And what a fun way to cash in. 2x all the way up to 20x the amount you put in. Again, it is we had the Sleeper squad going, had some fun cashes there. Shout out to Moonoff. Hit one of those WNBA mega cashes. Sleeper.com/SGP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And also, Ryan, right here, got a nice fresh batch of that trade coffee. Love coffee. Again, caffeine, hell of a drug. And trade coffee really gets you set up right. If you haven't ever had a coffee dialed into your specific flavor palette, you really haven't lived. Again, I love me some strong coffee. I get the whole beans. I have a whole routine. I put the whole beans in the grinder. I set the alarm, wake up, and it just smells. Oh, it just smells delightful. Makes you happy to be alive, wanting to get going, get out of bed. And again, Trade Coffee sets you up, and they'll deliver a bag of freshly roasted coffee as whole beans or ground for however you brew it at home. And they guarantee you'll love your first order, or they'll replace it for free. Trade Coffee has delivered over 5 million bags of fresh coffee with more than 750,000 positive reviews.
Oh my God.
No, it's great being subscribed to coffee, because there's nothing worse than the night before when you're setting up the coffee machine, or if you wake up in the morning, oh my God, where's my coffee? Don't need to worry about that if you sign up with Trade Coffee. Right now, Trade Coffee is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping. Just go to drinktrade.com/SGP. It's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Get started by taking their coffee quiz at drinktrade.com/SGP and let Trade find you a coffee that you'll love. Drinktrade.com/SGP for $30 off. Back talking tight ends. All right, so you shit on Trey McBride, you shit on Pat Freiermuth. Ryan, will you have the audacity as a non-homer?
For the record, I like Freiermuth. Shit on the situation.
Okay. As a non-homer, as of someone always accused of jocking the Eagles.
This is number 7.
No, this is number 8 for me. Give me Dallas Goedert.
You're so low on him. He's my number 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and again, the only thing I'm worried about Goddard is AJ Brown. Like,
no.
the Eagles offense is going to be passing more, but I still think AJ Brown is going to eat up a ton of targets. He's a massive frame. I think he's a legit red zone option. So I think that will, eat into some of Dallas Goedert's attempts.
I mean, I think you can hear, like, there are definitely those out there making the fair argument that his production really didn't go crazy when Ertz left. So maybe that's a concern, but I would say this: AJ Brown brings them something they have not had, which is a wide receiver that's going to draw the attention of the defense, and the best friend of a tight end that can do what Dallas Goedert can do, which is operate out of the slot, operate in line.
The slot. How's the slot?
Is have a true number one receiver that's going to draw the eye. And so when you can load up Dallas Goedert and AJ Brown on the same side, who are the defenses going to pay attention to? Now they might figure out that Jalen Hurts can't make the throws to AJ Brown, or maybe Dallas Goedert becomes the better decoy because of what he's running and the way Jalen Hurts can, only throw half of the route tree. But do I think? To me, Dallas Goedert is the start of this group that includes Hawkinson and Ertz and Schultz and probably some of the guys that you mentioned too, where the case for them to step forward is there. I mean, Dallas Goedert, you could argue is an elite talent in terms of a two-way tight end. I think the thing that's limiting him is his quarterback, and the same thing I said about Freiermuth and Trubisky. I do worry about with Goddard around the end zone. Like what number? Like where does he rank in the red zone targets this year with this offense? Is he after Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts, and AJ Brown, or is he the third
Miles
guy?
Sanders got 0 touchdowns.
Boston Scott, like it just. Are they not going to run the ball around the red zone?
I think they do, and
Kenny Gainwell. Insert running back name here.
I think Jalen Hurts is kind of their goal line back, and I still think there's a chance.
So if they're throwing, are they going to be throwing a guy? Because I would bet that Goddard becomes more of the red zone target than AJ Brown. And if this offense is going to be productive and around the red zone a lot, then I think you'd want to take a piece of their tight end near the top of this ambiguous, like who knows tier.
Dallas Goedert inside the 20 last year, 6 targets, 5 catches, 2 touchdowns.
That's got to improve. I mean, that's part of the hesitation. That's why he's in this group and not up a group. Because I think you'd project the Eagles offense to give the tight end a lot of opportunities to score. Yeah. And again, I think we'll see a different. I mean, you're closer to the team than I am, being that you're on the team.
Yes.
But I do think I think we're going to see a slightly different offensive approach this year based on the investment in AJ Brown. So I can't help but think that's going to help Dallas Goedert.
AJ Brown, 3 touchdowns inside the 20, 5 catches, 11 targets. So
no, different team.
Right. But I'm saying like he's carving that out from someone, and I think it's going to be Dallas Goedert because I think Devonta Smith to that target share. You mentioned, hey, the number one cornerback's probably going to be on AJ Brown. It could create some opportunities for Dallas Goedert. I got him at 8.
Okay. Wow. So low. I had him at 7, but again, that's kind of you draw a line there, and that's the question mark group.
My number 7, longtime friend of the program, been a huge fan of him for many years. Give me George Kittle, number 7. He is.
Thought you were gonna say, yeah. I forgot you already threw a Gronk out there.
No,
you're calling George Kittle a friend of the program now.
Yes, I'm joking because I'd hated on him for a bunch of years. George Kittle, he feels like to me just a guy I want in my top 10, but he also, I mean, his ceiling and floor are insane. I think this year, 1, because he habitually has a bunch of injury issues. 2, the Trey Lance thing. Like, I mean, Trey Lance could really just not throw the football. They could be playing games where they have like 14 pass attempts a game or something crazy. Like that would not surprise me. Kyle Shanahan. I mean, they in the NFC Championship game, they let Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball like 12 times. I could see them imploring some strategy like that, but I'm not going to leave George Kittle off and be dubbed a hater. And then he also has these insane 2 touchdown spike weeks. Maybe he's better for best ball, but I do think maybe towards that, again, closing stretch run in the playoffs. And again, like who does he have competition with as far as receiver?
I know he's getting older, but he is only 29. I think he came into the league later. But to your point earlier about will they pass the ball enough? So Kyle Shanahan was 30th in pass attempts in RG3's rookie year.
Yeah.
That's the comp, right?
No, and that's kind of why I'm worried. He did come off the year last year, 94 targets, 71 catches, 6 touchdowns. His first year of ever having 6 touchdowns. So
he's popped the seal, and to your point, the area where it's tricky is you say like, hey, he missed time last year. Well, he still ended up 4th in overall tight end points PPR. He was, he was even better. I think 4th also by average. So I hear you. That was with Jimmy G. Trey Lance, the throws that Trey Lance isn't going to be able to make are the throws to the wide receiver, like the stuff to George Kittle, like they are the easier throws. I'm number 6 on George Kittle, so I'm slightly higher. I think it's hard to put him any lower just because I agree they have better wide receiver talent than they've had in long. You know, Debo's there still. We think he's happy. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have all these running backs, but no matter what happens on that team, with the exception of last year, it seems like George Kittle tends to rise to the top of being that number 1 passing option. And when you have a guy like Trey Lance, that I have a feeling is going to be out in the, if he's playing, he's going to be rolling out. If not, it's going to be Jimmy G again. And so to me, it's hard to.
I mean, they've already announced that
take. It's really a hot take if you have George Kittle much lower than this.
Yeah.
Unless you're just like, oh, it's like a Zeke Elliott thing where you're visionaries,
you're
like
projecting
us and you
the
see
cliff.
it ahead of time.
Well, and again, that's why I put him at 7. But again, like a lot of these guys, you could easily make a case for them. Kittle, Goddard, even Freiermuth, the world where they get in the top 4, top 5 is not that crazy.
Kittle falls out of the top 10 if they truly are like comically short on passing attempts. Like that's the
and I agree with your take. If anyone is, and there's also a world where he leads the team in catches and targets, right? And he ends up becoming, because they're going to run a lot of like boot action stuff, RPOs. That stuff is great for the tight end. So there's a world where he's like number 1 tight end, but 7 felt like a good spot.
Well, and the Kittle haters would tell you that he really has never been truly elite when he has had a secondary, like a real wide receiver. But I mean, last year he was still pretty good. With
I'm recovering hater.
Recovering hater. All right, so that was my number 6.
So you already nailed Ryan. Wow, my number 6. Give it to me, Rob Gronkowski.
Interesting. Okay.
I think he's getting his body right, his mind right. He 100% is going to play for the Tampa Bay Bucks this season. You heard it here first. Broke that news months ago. Everyone's refusing to report it. He's just not going to sign his deal, because then once you sign, then you have to do all the bullshit OTA stuff.
Yeah.
But he is committed in the off season. Been talking to his trainer, been putting in a lot of work. No, I mean,
it's tough to take. I mean,
well, and especially like with Godwin coming back, is he going to be 100%? And Brady still trusts him. So let's say we live in a world where Brady maybe slows down a little bit this year. Isn't he? He's going to go back to the guy he trusts. We should have even been on that angle bigger in the Super Bowl, in big moments, in big spots. Let's say Tampa Bay, that second half of the season where they're trying maybe to fight for the number 1 seed,
I don't
lock up a division spot. He's going to be relying on his boy Gronk.
I mean, and even back to your points, total points versus average, Gronk still finished as the number 7 tight end,
which is crazy.
Playing only 12 games, when you look at the average, he was number 3.
And look at his competition, Cameron Brate. I mean, OJ Howard's not on the team anymore.
He's on the Bills now.
Yeah, so it's like Cameron Brate, Cade Otton, Keift, Cody McElroy. Again,
I will say this, and I know I'm gonna.
Brady doesn't like.
I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but are you sure he's going to be back?
Yeah,
100%.
If he's not, then we'll adjust. But okay. I would be
shoot.
If he was not,
they're now coached. Bruce Arians isn't the coach anymore, and.
What does that matter? Tom Brady was the coach last year. Tom Brady's the coach this year. If anything, you could make a case that maybe Arians was like, "Hey, let's spread the ball around a little bit more," and had some sort of influence for less Gronk targets. Tom Brady loves Gronk. He's one of the few friends he has in public, and the fact that now Tom Brady's coaching the offense, he's the offensive coordinator, he's the QB coach, he's going to be drawing up the game plan. You don't think Gronk's going to get his red zone looks?
You're probably right. I'll have to revisit the problem is you're not drafting Gronk in the 5th round right now, or the 6th round, whatever this would imply.
No, but that's why you can use our rankings to dominate, because you don't have to draft him in there. You can draft him 4 touchdowns inside the 20. He had 5 catches, 4 of them for touchdowns.
Right. I need to be higher. I'm not high enough on. You know what? We late swap Gronk in, bump Dallas Goedert and everyone down. I'll throw Gronk in right there. I like Gronk. I do think
Cameron Brate had double the targets in the inside the 20 last year.
Can I? We'll put I love
same
Gronk,
number of touchdowns.
Gronk in best ball formats a little bit more, obviously, because I do think Gronk forces you to have to put a tight end on your bench because he's going to miss time, and that can be tricky in the season long format. Sean,
you can stream a backup.
That was 6.
No, I think.
No, I'm saying using that roster spot.
Yeah,
not always
no, but I'm saying I think this year is one of the better tight end streaming years we've seen because I do think a lot of these guys, even the guys that didn't make our top 10, are certainly very playable. Like if you went into the draft and the way the board shook out, you didn't get any of these top tier guys. You don't want to waste middle round draft capital on one of these guys we have 5 through 10. You could just almost completely punt the tight end position and stream each week and find some pretty decent matchups in a 12 team league.
I would argue that if you don't take one of the top, I mean, maybe you even throw like Gronk, Kittle, like for you Gronk and Kittle, but maybe that's the line where like if you're not getting one of these guys, like it's just a crapshoot. You might as well wait. I mean, I've been doing it in best ball, and I think if you're not taking a top guy with guaranteed volume, it does get dicey. And you know, is the 22nd guy any different than the 13th guy?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you will have an opportunity to stream tight ends this season.
Yeah, but drafting a tight end, planning to have him on your bench and eat up valuable bench spot. I mean, we know this with Darren Waller last year. It's tough. It's a tough situation to put yourself into. That's all. And so with Gronk, if you don't know he's going to play yet, it's tough to say you're going to draft him in the 6th round. That's
right, but I'm saying you don't need to carry a backup with Gronk. You can just swap in.
No, but when Gronk is out, you now have.
Yeah, okay. You're using a bench spot.
All right, number 5, or is it me or you?
It's you.
Darren Waller.
Goes me, then you're right.
Darren Waller. So you had Gronk number 5 also. All right, Darren Waller.
I had Gronk number 6.
Okay.
You started first.
So then it's me, then you. Darren Waller in the 5 spot.
I also have Darren Waller at number 5.
Okay, so there's a lot of reasons to like Darren Waller less. This is a fun nugget I found. He had 19 targets in the first game of the season. Averaged only got 10 catches. Averaged only 7 targets a game after that. Fun fact. Hunter Renfrow actually led the league in targets inside the 10-yard line. You bring in who? Devontae Adams, who also is him and Renfrow, both top 10 slot guys. I worry about the target distribution.
How's the slot?
That being said, I am buying the Raiders as a team that's going to play some shootouts in their division. They're going to score some points. And I think Darren Waller, while there's so many reasons to say he's going to get less of the ball, he's going to get less of the ball around the red zone. It's hard for me to put him much lower than this. Now, by putting him here, I'm probably not drafting him a ton because I think he's going number 3 tight end on most platforms. So I'm kind of saying I don't love him. And he was banged up last year. That's the other thing I have. The other nugget is like, if he does, he knee back COVID, that to me, that only played 11 games.
He's one of those guys where it's weird. I won't be disappointed if I don't have Darren Waller on my roster. And again, 5 kind of is in that zone where I probably have him graded slightly below market. I do think people will talk themselves into the Raiders offense and into Waller. I think he's good enough to beat out some of these other guys, but I don't think he's so good that you're drafting him like top 2 tight ends, right?
No, and I think to draft him, you're taking him 3rd, probably inside the top 3 rounds, maybe top 4 rounds. And I don't know if I'm stretched. Again, it's kind of like George Kittle. I'm putting him a couple slots below where he's being drafted, but that almost makes him undraftable.
Yeah.
And so I like Waller. I could probably talk myself into Waller gaining some benefit to having Devontae Adams there. He's like another legit, kind of like the Dallas Goedert angle. He's legit number 1. Who, while your initial instinct is to say this is bad for Darren Waller, this is bad for Dallas Goedert, I do think those elite number 1s, they draw some of the safety help away, and you're going to end up on a linebacker more. You're going to end up on a plus matchup, especially.
Do we have any history or thoughts on McDaniels and his use of tight ends?
Well, when I was diving around in Raiders Reddit, which scary place, Raiders Reddit. It does seem like they're going to be running more tight ends than less. I mean, I think we're going to see something very Patriots like, where multiple tight ends allow you to be multiple, and that's the other angle, is maybe Darren Waller becomes their, Kyle Pitts style number 2 outside receiver, because Renfro's not running those routes out there. They lost A. Jones, who was kind of doing it last year for him. And so could I see Darren Waller lining more, like have those big slot lineups where you have Adams on the inside, Waller on the outside to one side? I think that could work. To answer your question, it seems like they're committed to playing multiple tight ends, which tells me Darren Waller is not going to be lining up on the line of scrimmage a lot, which that could be a good thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, he's in that position where he does have talent. He is good. The case for the bounce back year is pretty easy to make, but yeah, I don't think I'll have a ton of Darren Waller. So we both had him at number 4 or 5. Who's your number 4, Ryan? Because I'm sure we don't have the same number 4.
Dawson Knox.
He did not make my top 10.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Who's their number 1 option in the passing game? Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
Who's their number 2 option in the passing game?
I think they're Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis will be the number 1 red zone option.
Based on what?
Based on how they finished the season, how each year in the Bills passing game really seems to trust veteran receivers, and how he's kind of been moved along, how they trusted him in the playoffs in massive spots, how Josh Allen just loves throwing him in the red zone. Brian
Dable did.
I'm predicting a massive year for Gabe Davis. He was up there in targets, top 20, I think, in targets in the red zone, and Stephon Diggs was higher, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer, and I think he edges out Dawson Knox there.
So Dawson Knox was like, you can project Gabe Davis to being used in the red zone a lot, but Dawson Knox was used in the red zone a lot. He was 3rd in routes run in the red zone for tight ends,
and I think
which again only behind Andrews and Kelsey there. So he's in elite air. He's on an offense that's going to be, again, what did I say to start the show?
You said they're going to be bad because they don't have Brian Dable.
No, I said there's a lot of question about what the offense can do, but do I think the offense is going to be good enough to be around the red zone a lot? Absolutely. And I think the number 1 thing that kind of popped out, and I forget where I stole this nugget from, but he was the number 2 tight end in seam routes run, which this is where it gets interesting. Cole Beasley's gone. I know we've been leaning into the Jamison Crowder is a nice value in best ball, could fill that role. But what if we see Dawson Knox fill a lot more of those roles?
Yeah, I see the case for him.
What if he's their slot guy?
Yeah.
What if he's just gotten better year over year, and he was a guy who wasn't developed for shit in college? He was found by the great geniuses up there, and the Brian Dable geniuses up there in Buffalo land, and he's looking to take another step forward. The last thing I'll say is he's on the field all the time because he can also block. And last year it was all about what? Touchdowns. We said that tight ends have to score to be relevant. He got 9 last year, and I would say
that felt like an outlier to me. And again, that's why I'm not that high on him.
Really?
And they brought in OJ Howard.
Okay.
Why do you think they bring in OJ Howard?
That's insane. You're going to tell me OJ Howard hasn't been able to beat Cameron Braid out. I don't think that's OJ true. Howard's a problem. I think OJ Howard brings in a nice second guy to fill some space.
I just think Dawson Knox,
and I think Josh Allen trusts Dawson Knox. Like I think there's something there. He's very athletic. He's a guy that you can project to do more based on what he did last year. And I think there's not many guys that you can do that. Like, unless you really think the offense is going to take a massive step back, which I think it's concerning. They lost their play caller. I don't think they take a massive step back.
All right. Dawson Knox, number 4, my number 4, 1, Robert Bobby Tonyan. Love his case here. Again, we keep talking about who is going to be the guy.
No, this is hot.
When Devontae Adams isn't there.
This is a hot take right here.
Right.
You told me you didn't have any hot takes.
I'll take. Well,
he's going undrafted in like 16 team leagues.
Yeah, and that's why I think he's a massive value. Right.
This would have been hot at number 10.
How many games did Devontae Adams miss in 2020?
He missed a couple.
2. You want to hear the you want to hear what a stat line looks like with no Devontae Adams. Here, I'll break down.
Let's hear it. Does this include when Sammy Watkins was on the team though?
No, Sammy Watkins was not on the team. But this is kind of interesting. And again, this was Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers. I like
how hot this is.
Putting together an offense without Devontae Adams. Okay, so leader in targets, Jamal Williams, tied with MVS. Jamal Williams had 8 catches, 95 yards. MVS had 4 catches, 45 yards. Aaron Jones, obviously involved in a lot in the passing game with no Devontae Adams, 5 catches, 1 touchdown, 40 yards. And then we scroll over to Robert Tonyan, 6 targets, 6 catches, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Oh my God. Again, he certainly didn't have an amazing year last year, but a lot of it was just pure injury. He has a connection with Robert Tonyan. There's only a few guys on this team that Aaron Rodgers, a man who trusts very few people in this world, Ryan.
This is true.
One of which is MVS. The other is Bobby Tonyan. We're not talking enough about how much he relies on guys he trusts, an inner circle of guys that he can just, you bring him into a circle, hey, whatever happens in the circle doesn't leave this circle. And Bobby Tonyan is one of those guys. He's in the circle of trust for Aaron Rodgers, and we're not talking enough about him.
All right. Who has more touchdowns next year, Mercedes Lewis or Robert Tonyan?
Maybe Mercedes Lewis. He's the back. Maybe he has a crazy year.
I like the hotness of the take. I mean, I think if you're gonna circle someone for some ridiculous touchdown regression, it's certainly a fun angle.
Well, because he had 1 last year, and then he had 11 the year before. We've seen a game log where he completely dominates and has these massive games, and I think a lot of it in 2020 was just
I just don't. Yeah, I think to be a top 4 guy. I mean, maybe he sees the targets. Maybe that's the part where I'm out on him. But like, I think the touchdowns, sure, I can. Could he get 9 touchdowns like Dawson Knox last year? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to see the targets. I don't know if he's going to run enough routes. But maybe you're right.
I mean,
I like how hot it is.
In 20,
you are a big Bobby Tonyan guy.
Yeah, he had 60 targets or 59 in 2020.
Okay.
And I think he can. I wouldn't be surprised if he has like 70 targets.
I mean, he probably need more than that. He's probably going to need a couple more than that.
Well, I think the tight end or the touchdowns carry him.
That's true.
Touchdown regression, Ryan.
Okay, it's fair. You're now a regression guy. It's weird.
Who's your number 3?
Kyle Pitts. As much as I want to throw him above Travis Kelce, it's too hot to even try to say Travis Kelce is, unless you're saying injury. It's just too hot. I'm not going there. Kyle Pitts. He was decent last year, but I started the show mentioning this. Only 1 touchdown. All right, couple fun nuggets for the nerds out there. He was number 1 in yards per route run. Sean, 3 on a similar plane as like Jamar Chase, which is pretty cool. He got targets down the field. He led or second in tight end targets 20 yards down the field. He had 14 targets inside the 20. Everything you like about a tight end he had. And oh, by the way, I guess we're worried about Marcus Mariota. I would imagine that's why you're not taking him high. If you don't like him high, or if you don't like him in the 3rd, 4th round, it's because of Mariota. Maybe they're going to run the ball more. I just think that Arthur Smith has had productive tight ends before, but he's never had tight ends that he can line up out wide. Kyle Pitts led the league for tight ends in snaps taken out wide. 34% of his snaps, Sean, taken out wide. Another third from the more than almost 40% from the slot. So he only lined up on the line of scrimmage in less than 30% of his snaps. I just think you're drafting a wide receiver at the tight end position, and more so than any other guy, he lines up like a wide receiver. And so now you sprinkle in, could he make a jump in year 2 like tight ends often do? Yes. Will it help that they have another massive target in Drake London over there? Yes. Am I higher on Marcus Mariota and Arthur Smith this year than most? Yes. But even if they're bad, could they have a bad defense and an offense to score some points? Yes. The only thing that scares me is that they're just like similar to the San Francisco situation. Like maybe, hopefully there are enough pass attempts to get Kyle Pitts home. But I think the touchdown regression combined with all the underlying metrics of how far down the field his targets are, how many of those targets occur in the red zone. I really think it's just, if unless this Atlanta team is just ungodly horrible, that's the only thing that will prevent Kyle. And Kyle Pitts is the only guy on this list that could end up being number one. I think that we've spoken about so far.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the Pitts, Kelsey, Andrews, that's that 1A tier that you could really make a case for either of these guys. And while you were talking, I kept resorting my list. I guess I'll go Kyle Pitts number 3 as well.
I think it's just way too hot because their offense just is nowhere near the offense of Mark Andrews or Kelsey. And that's to me the difference.
Mark Andrews and Kelsey are dealing with a very obvious increase in target share, right? I mean, I
don't know.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, do you want to Kelsey?
I'll officially make Kyle Pitts my number 3 tight end. Again, like broke a bunch of the rookie records that Ditka set. Again, younger people probably don't even know that Mike Ditka was a tight end.
Yep.
That's crazy that
not many Ditka though.
Yeah, that's crazy that Ditka had 1,000 receiving yards as a tight end in 1961. I mean, that really, you want to talk about target share. I can't imagine what the number 2 receiver on that 1961 team had. Yeah, you nailed it. Like he's going to be used in the slot. He's going to be used all over, and he very well could be their number 1 receiver. So it's
I have the
pretty
numbers, Sean. Listen to this: 249 inline snaps, 288 in the slot, and 235 out wide. It's just no other tight end is doing that. So it's a cheat code, right? I think I saw he would have been the number 6 or 7 wide receiver overall if you're just including tight ends. And again, the numbers are there. So let's go. What's number 2 then? Kelsey?
Yeah,
has to be. He's old. He's 33. He's old, as old as Gronk, basically.
Yeah,
his
efficiency has kind of been declining a little bit. That's a case against him. I am slightly worried about Juju, who kind of thrives playing in the slot. Is he going to take away a little bit of work from Travis Kelce? Mahomes is talking about spreading it all around, but again, Kelce in a very good offense with Andy Reid, a guy who loves drawing up stuff for the tight end. The argument he's set just to have a massive year.
The argument for why Tyreek Hill leaving is a problem is that it created all the space for Kelce to operate. Yeah. The flip side of that is maybe Kelce is why Tyreek Hill was able to operate the way he was. I think Kelce is, we're going to look back at Travis Kelce as someone who just doesn't come around very often. He hasn't missed much time. As much as we remember him getting knocked out of that playoff game, he doesn't miss many games. And I think that's the area where you can lean in and say Travis Kelce won't be as good this year. He's going to miss time. He just hasn't missed time yet. So maybe he's older, again, 33. By the time the season comes, so maybe that's the angle for going against him. But how many guys on this list could end up with 30% target share or more? How many guys on this list
on a top offense?
On a top offense, how many exactly? You have a top quarterback. It is still a tough stack in best ball. Top quarterback. I don't know if I love him in the first round though. And again, like with Travis Kelce, I'm ranking him 1 position lower than his consensus. And yet that's going to take me out of the market for drafting him, just like it did with Darren Waller and George Pitts. I don't think I'm going to end up with a ton of Travis Kelce, but I don't think you can rank him much lower than this, just because if you're drafting in the second round, like at what point do you take Travis Kelce? I think for me, I don't know if I'm taking him in the first round, but if he's there in the second round, I start thinking about it, because how many wide receivers are going to have 30% target share?
Yeah.
How many receivers period are going to be able to
and then there's
have that ceiling?
And then there's, to the other point that we said, this top 1A tier really separates itself from the rest of the tiers. So the positional value in tight end becomes somewhat more, because you can only play one tight end, and they would, in like a regular matchup, they would be destroying the other tight end that they're going against most likely. So that's where his value, and that would be the case of drafting him in the second round. All right, Ryan, before we get to our lock, our number one pick for top 10 fantasy football tight ends, shout out IP Vanish, your lock.
Hell yeah.
When it comes to locking up your internet security, we have a closed door policy here at SGPN when it comes to our internet, our browsing history, our data. We don't want, your ISP, your advertiser. We don't want Spectrum seeing what we're up to. That's why we lock it down with Express VPN. Hide your location. Good for browsing, or for streaming online. Like if you use a Fire Stick, you can use IP Vanish on there as well. And again, IP Vanish, unlimited devices without sacrificing the speed on your computers, tablets, or phones, and even devices like Fire Sticks. Like I said there, and again, IP Vanish hooks you up price wise too. 70% off their yearly plan with the 30-day money back guarantee. IPVanish.com/SGP. Use that promo code SGP. Claim your 70% savings. IPVanish.com/SGP.
I mean, play the music, the announcement music. This, I guess, this is not a. It's not a super hot take. But just like with Travis Kelce being number 2 makes him almost undraftable because would you say he's almost a lock, certainly a lock to go in the first round of your, even like season
Mark
long?
Andrews.
No, I'm saying Travis Kelce is a lock to go in the first round.
I don't know if he's a lock.
I think of the tight ends, he's probably the one going first at this point. And so having him second is going to make him tough. But Mark Andrews, as it seems we agree on our top tight end, he's available. He's going mid second round. If you fancy him, compared to those receivers, compared to those Swifts of the world, Nick Chubbs of the world, he's available. And so placing him as my number 1 tight end, what I'm telling the world is I'll happily take him after the top tier of wide receiver / running back. I'm having a conversation with myself. Aaron Jones, end of the first round.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, Mark Andrews. To me, that's a pretty healthy conversation. Mark Andrews, I'm higher on today than I was the last time we did a best ball draft.
Well, and Andrews too. Like
research.
Admittedly, I was never high on him, or as high as I should have been. But he's been really consistent. He was top 5 in drop rate and contested catch rate, while producing more 15+ yard receptions than any other tight end in the NFL at 33. He does. To your point, we keep talking about these guys that play the big slot offense, and he saw a massive spike in reception. Yeah. So 2018, 34 catches, 2019, 64 catches, 2020, 58 catches, 2021, 107 catches.
Worried it's an outlier?
Not really, because you can explain why it happened, right? Like the offense they're running, they feature more and more. They have trouble finding a number 1 receiver. They haven't found one yet.
They got rid of their quote number 1 receiver.
Yeah. And
fuck you mode Lamar with his top dog, Mark Andrews. I think the argument, the case against Mark Andrews is they're going to run the ball more this year. Their defense is going to be better this year.
But I mean,
their defense won't give up so many explosive plays through the passing game that creates additional fantasy points for, say, your leading receiver, aka your tight end. But to come back to my thesis on what makes a dominant fantasy football tight end, well, target share. Another guy, few guys here. To me, Mark Andrews is a lock for 30% target share, and I don't know if I can say that for anyone else. I don't know where else the targets are going. I think he absolutely locks down 30%. Now, if the volume's down, okay, we can talk about that. I think red zone activity, top 10 in red zone targets last year. If you combined wide receivers and tight ends, Sean.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned this with 15 yards. I got it. He led the league in targets 20 yards down the field. So he's used in explosive plays. He's used around the red zone, and he's the top usage guy on his team. And oh, by the way, Sean, did you know just 3 seasons ago, Lamar Jackson threw for 36 touchdowns, 26 the year after that, 16 last year. Sure, maybe he's not a 36 touchdown guy, but he's also not a 16 touchdown guy. That regression back towards his season or his career average of a 6 and change touchdown percentage will certainly help Mark Andrews. Whatever he loses in garbage time, like passing stats that he gained because their defense was crap last year, he'll pick up in touchdowns. I love this play.
The more we've talked it out and been doing these best balls, I'm getting higher and higher on Mark Andrews. And to your point on the touchdowns, even in seasons where they didn't pass as much, he still had a high level of touchdowns. 10 in 2019, 7 in 2020, and 9 last year. And so of those 16 touchdowns, he had more than half at 9. Now, like let's say Lamar, to your point, let's say he throws for 22 or 25. Is Mark Andrews getting 12 touchdowns? Is that out of the question? I don't think so.
Mark Andrews, if you look at he played every game. So that's obviously key. He has to stay healthy. But if you just look at per game, he scored 5 points, 5.5 points more per game than the number 5 guy. He's absolutely dominant. And a season long. All right. George Kittle was we'll go number 3. Darren Schultz, number 3 overall tight end. Mark Andrews scored almost 95 points more than him. That's insane.
That is crazy.
That's 5+ points a week. And so I think he could take us. We're having one of those Christian McCaffrey conversations. He could take a massive step back, and he could still be the top dog. He outscored Travis Kelce by 40 points over the course of the season. At some point, it's too good. It's too good to pass up. So yeah, Mark Andrews, no real hot takes on my list, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, and those consensus rankings have him as number 2 there. So I think,
and for those,
us making him number 1, I think there is some opportunity there.
And for those, drafting, looking, at when should I take this top tight end? Last year. And I apologize, Sean. You didn't tell me full PPR, but half PPR, he would have been wide receiver 7. So for wide receiver 7 last year was Stephon Diggs in a per game basis for overall points. No, sorry, it was Stephon Diggs for overall points. So you're looking at a situation where, as you're doing these drafts, you're coming near the, when does the 7th receiver go off the board? You have Kupp, Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Diggs, and then it's like Lamb, Keenan. You have all these guys. To me, after those top 5 receivers, it's Mark Andrews, and that's where I take him. So that's right at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round.
Let's go, Mark Andrews.
Who do you like more, Mark Andrews, like early second round, Kyle Pitts, mid to late third round?
That's tough. I mean, I don't know. Mark Andrews, it just seems like I think those 2 I'd be.
Or do you wait? Do you just?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how many of these top 10 tight ends I'll be having. Or to my point, I can get Bobby Tonyan like undrafted or super late. I'm fine starting Bobby Tonyan every week.
Next best ball draft. I think you can take the entire Ravens offense for like 2nd, 5th for Lamar. Maybe a 6th for Dobbins, and then Bateman later on. I don't know.
Yeah, Bateman is.
I need a Lamar stack now with Mark Andrews.
All right, that was fun getting fantasy football going. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. Leave us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Take the screenshot there and click the contest tab. Submit it for your chance to win free gear every Monday, aka Merch Monday.
Sean, you're supposed to say, let us know what we got wrong in the comments below.
Ryan,
I've been watching YouTubers. School's out.
Smash that subscribe button.
It's summer, so I'm watching a lot of YouTube with the little one. It's unbelievable. They all are very very handsy when it talks about subscribing down below.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling
And let us
Podcast.
know if you want us to rank the rest of the positions too.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Don't be afraid to ask an obvious question to gain engagement.
Kramer, let it ride.